David is running for his life, not from a foreign adversary, but from his own son Absalom, who has turned the political empire against the king himself. Absalom has taken the throne and has put a huge target on his father's back. And now, surrounded by his enemies lying on the ground, David does something a little bit awkward. He writes a song. This song is Psalm chapter 3. So what do you do when the people you care about, when the people that you love the most also bring the most pain in your life? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's get after it. So in order to understand Psalm 3 and what's going on here, we need to build the context. The context starts with David. David is in a blended family. He has multiple wives, at least 8 of them mentioned in the Bible, but many concubines and others that probably aren't mentioned, and 21 specific children mentioned in the scriptures, many who probably aren't. So this isn't an exhaustive list of how many children David had. We really don't know, but we know he had at least 21. 19 sons are mentioned, one son who is unnamed, that's the son that Bathsheba lost, and one daughter named Tamar. Now where this context builds is that David's firstborn son, Amnon, is the rightful heir to the throne. The problem is he has a liking for his half-sister Tamar, and so he devises a plan to get Tamar into his house. He pretends to be sick. She comes and makes some bread for him, and in the middle of it all, he asks everyone to leave the house except for his sister, a place where they spent many times together alone. He used as an opportunity to take advantage of her. He then assaults his half-sister Tamar, then kicks her out of the house, locks the door, and leaves her on the curb, broken and shattered. Absalom finds his full-blooded sister, same mom, same dad, sitting there broken. She confesses what took place, and Absalom is filled with fury. He is filled with rage and anger and wrath, and he wants justice. And at some point, the news traveled to David himself. David is filled with anger, but he does nothing about it, which makes Absalom furious. So Absalom, over the course of time, devises a plan to bring all of his siblings under one roof for a party. He invites his dad to be there as well, but David opted out, and he uses this opportunity to get Amnon alone, and he kills him himself. Now Absalom, the son of David, kills his half-brother, the first son of David, Amnon, creating a huge problem. Not only is there a problem within the household, now Absalom has become a fugitive because he has killed the heir to the throne. Big problem. So Absalom now flees from the land, goes into a neighboring nation to hide and escape. And for years, he sits there and just wallows into his bitterness. Until a few years later, where one of trusted advisor talks to David, encouraging to bring his son home. And that's exactly what happens. And once Absalom returns, he starts to slowly devise this plan. He starts to do well the things that David was not doing well. For instance, he started listening to the people. He started talking with them. He started hearing their problems. He started to love on them well. And it got to the point where he was slowly building the affection of the people around him. They ended up loving Absalom. They liked him as king, and he started to build his resources. He got chariot, he got horses, he started putting the right men around him, and at some point he names himself the king. You see, he began to turn the hearts of Israel away from his father and towards him, showing his father's weakness to the people he had been leading for a long time. It becomes a political conspiracy. And in 2 Samuel chapter 15, verses 7 through 12, Absalom now declares himself the king of Israel. But not just that, he ends up encouraging the people to rise up against King David, not to just overthrow the throne, but to kill his father. That's the context of Psalm chapter 3. Now let's dive into the text. Here's what it says, verse 1 and verse 2. O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. Now this is huge because this is where David is pouring out his heart. His emotions are heightened. He is falling to the lowest pit that he could possibly go, and he is lost with his own mind, with his own emotions, with his own brokenness. And here is the whisper that is being spoken into his life, is that right now, even God can't help you. I mean, read that. Psalm 3, verse 1 and 2. David is pouring it all out there, and right here in this moment, David is hearing this whisper shout as loud as it possibly can, that in your circumstances, not even God himself can help you. You have to be pretty broken for that whisper to make ground. around, don't you? And yet this happens to all of us because we start to believe that these words are true. When our marriage is falling apart, we believe that God can't help us. And maybe for you, marriage isn't your problem, but it's your children. You've done everything you could by them. You've tried to raise them the right way. You brought them up in the church, all for them to just kind of walk away and to rebel against you and against life. And you feel like not even God can help you here. And maybe for you, it's not family troubles at all, but it's you sitting on a table in a doctor's office where they break the news of some medical diagnosis for you. And Satan starts to whisper in your ear, not even God's going to help you here. And maybe for many of you, this is just a sin that you're battling. You refuse to let this go, and you are just compromised by addiction. And the more you fight, the more that whisper speaks louder that God can't help you here. This is where David is. He's listening to the whisper, but look what he says in verse 3, because this changes the dynamic of everything this psalm is about. Let's look at it. It says, "But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and I slept, and I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for you strike all of my enemies on the cheek, and you break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. You are pleasing beyond your people." Verse 3 changes it because David goes from hearing the whisper to going straight into worship. He didn't wait. He didn't ponder. He didn't let bitterness creep into his life. He didn't let his emotions overtake him. He took his emotions to the Father. And where you and I are so easy to just spread our emotions through our household like a wildfire, through our circle of friends, take it into the workplace, David brings the emotion that is within him and he cries out to the Father. He takes his emotions and he offers worship. He names his fears out loud. He names the grief he's wrestling with, and he names the betrayal that is penetrating his heart. And where sometimes you and I just sit in our emotion, where we just allow it to just kind of just stew on it, David pulls it out by offering it as a worship to God. And this is where the emotional shifting begins to take place. When you and I can take our thoughts, take our heart, take our hurts, and offer it to God. It doesn't even have to make sense. This is the beauty of the Holy Spirit that Paul talks about in Romans chapter 8. It says that the Holy Spirit will come as an aid to you. And sometimes you may be crying out to God and you have no idea what to say. You have no idea what to feel, but your heart is just crying out and you can't make words of it. Guess what? The Holy Spirit will take all of that emotion and he will wrap it up into a beautiful package and take it to the Father on your behalf. That's the God that we serve. Let's go back to 2 Samuel. David writes this psalm, but war is still coming. And as this war approaches, David gives a final instruction to his people, not just his close allies, but for everyone who is in his corner. David speaks these words. It's in 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 5. He says, "Deal gently for my sake with the young man Absalom." Why would David do this? After everything Absalom has done to him, after all that he's gone, after all the chaos that Absalom brought to David, why would he say this? David has taken all of the emotion on Absalom and he gave it to God so it would spare him with the people that he loves. Absalom is his son. The last thing David wants to do is kill his son. The last thing that David wants to do is rise up against his son. So he rises up against God and he takes his emotion and he gives it to the Father. And because he does that, he's able to deal gently with his son Absalom. And so he pleads to his people, be merciful, be gentle with my son. Now ultimately, the men kill Absalom, and in doing so, it grieves David's heart. He weeps bitterly over his son. He loves his son. And I'm guessing that you love the people in your life too. But let's face it, sometimes life is hard. Sometimes brokenness comes. And it's often our norm to do this backwards. God is often the last one we want to turn to and talk about our problems. Because we'd rather pull in our resources. We'd rather pull in our friends, our coworkers, our family members, whoever's going to be on our side, our social media. We'd rather build our army and become right fighters than take our emotions to God. But what David shows us here in Psalm chapter 3 is that when you can pour it out to God, everything changes. But here's the challenge for us. How can we turn our pain into worship. How do we do this? Well, for some of you, this might be your car ride home. Maybe you've got a hard, strenuous job. Maybe you've got a job that you're just on the emotional high all day long. Your brain is just cooking all day long, and you need some time to decompress. Use this car ride to pour out your pain and make it worship. Turn up the radio if you have to. Sing out your praises to God as loud as you possibly can. Maybe it's a moment of reflection. Maybe there are tears that are coming. Whatever it may be, your car ride home might be your best tool to worship the Father. For some of you, this might be a workout. You are able to kind of just bring all of the emotions in your body and you put it out and you do your weightlifting or in your running or whatever it is. For some of you, you allow your emotional pain to be the fuel for your workout. Turn it into worship and watch what happens. For others, for me, it's sitting there with my guitar in hand, not having any words with me, slowly playing melodies on the guitar and just putting words in a prayer and just strumming along and crying out to God with whatever I'm feeling, whether it's good or bad, just shouting it out to the Father and giving my emotional pain to Him. And when we can learn to do this well, the people around us feel it. So let's give our pain to God and see what happens. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you've learned something in this video or you found value in it at all, please consider liking and subscribing as we bring content on a regular basis. Until next time.